Welcome everybody to this full moon of December. It's nice to see slowly all those screens popping on. All right, here we are. While people are just slowly joining, the invitation is, if you can, to switch your video on so we can really feel that we're in a circle together, in community together, as best as we can. Kind of create that online. And if for whatever reason you cannot do that, you're still, of course, welcome to be here without your video. So today we have, I want to say a special call, but every full moon is special, but today is special too. We have our dear friend Niharika from South India present with us. It's a very special day in the place where she is that Niharika will share more about soon. And we're here to support her journey, to support the journey with the Earth Treasure Vase. And we'll listen to what has happened over the past 2 years that she's been working with the Earth Treasure Vase. What's happening in this moment, what support she's seeking from us as a community. And we'll connect, of course, through the meditation, as every full moon, to the global Earth Treasure Vase network through our guided meditation. We have Julian present with us today, who will play very special, appropriate music. I'm not going to reveal yet what that is, but you'll notice it will not be the didgeridoo. It's a different instrument. Thank you, Julian, for being here today. And then there is Therese with me, with us, from New Zealand, co-hosting the call together with me. So thank you, Therese, for being here. And Therese will kind of share with us the origin story of the Earth Treasure Vases and how we have ended up being here together on this specific morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you. But before we do that, I will invite 3 sounds of the bell to just really become present, to open our ceremonial space here. And the invitation is to just allow the sound of the bell to drop away any preoccupations of your day so far, and to anchor with your breathing, to feel your body, to feel yourself arriving here in this precious present moment. Listen, listen. The wonderful sound of this bell brings us back to our true home in the very here and now. Okay, once again, welcome. My name is Rick. I'm located in Sacred Valley in Peru at the moment. Um, and I'm, as you know, co-hosting the call with Therese. Therese, please bring us in.
Thanks for that warm welcome. It's good to be with you, everyone, and good to be here with you. Niharika, as we celebrate the India Vase today. Good to see so many familiar faces, and welcome to anyone that's new as well. And as we begin, we always call in and name and honour the lineage from which this practice comes, this lineage that we come together today to practice on a full moon by way of meditation. And just honoring where this has come to us from. So this particular practice has come down to us from Cynthia Jers, who about, can't remember the exact number now, but it's over 30 years ago, went on a journey to up into the high mountains of Nepal. She was on her way trekking up the high mountains in the high altitude to meet an old Lama in his cave temple. And as she was on that trek, she realized the importance of that moment in life, this opportunity to ask the wise old man in the cave a question. And the question that was burning in her heart at the time is, what can she do to relieve the suffering of the earth? So, with that question burning in her heart, she went and asked Charok Rinpoche in his cave temple. And the answer that he gave her was to take this practice of the Earth Treasure Vases, this somewhat simple practice of taking these little terracotta pots, filling them with blessings and offerings and prayers, and putting them into the earth, making an offering back to the earth, from whom, while we're in human form, we receive all things. So this is a practice that was handed down from a long time ago from Guru Padmasambhava and Yeshe Tsogyal. It was prophesied to be a practice that's of great help in a future time, um, a time when it would be revealed as a practice that'll be helpful to relieve the suffering of the earth in times of destruction. So yeah, this has been handed down in a lineage. It came through Charok Rinpoche, who's the monk in the cave that passed the practice to Cynthia, and Lama Sultram Zangpo was the one that helped Cynthia with crafting and creating the first two generations of Earth Treasure vases, which have gone into the earth. A third generation of vases was then crafted under the assistance of Marian Naranjo, the elder and potter of the Tewa people. And Cynthia continues to uphold the practice. And this is one of the ways that we bring our energies together to re-energize all the offerings that have gone into the earth over time. And to also, on such a day such as today, sometimes to focus on a particular vase that's in the process of making its journey to its final destination in the earth, and an opportunity to come together and offer prayers for that vase. So good to be with you under the potency of the full moon, a time when the power of our prayers and intentions is said to be amplified.
Beautiful. Thank you, Therese. So, Niharika, I know you were trying to figure something out with your laptop and all of that, and I wonder whether that has worked. Because we so far see your name, but I don't see your face, I guess. So, if you can unmute and tell us what's happening. Hey,
Still in the process, but let's continue with the phone until that joins in. Yeah.
sweet. Okay. I'm going to spotlight you. So, first of all, very, 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 very warm welcome on your early morning to this full moon call. part of the reason why it's difficult for you to connect with the internet is because it's a special day there where you are. Could you please bring us in where you are at the moment and what's happening there where you are?
Mm, yeah, on this particular moment in Tiruvallai, where I am in the south of India, it marks the beginning of the biggest festival of the year in this place. So in Tiruvannamala, there's a beautiful hill, some of you might be knowing. It's called Arunachala. And Arunachala is believed to be basically a manifestation of the divine himself. There's a whole mythology and story about how the divine kind of manifested as a column of light many thousands of years ago to reveal himself in form that could be seen. And that column of light was so dazzling and bright that the gods prayed to him, saying, "Please, it's too bright for us to see. Can you come in a form that we can actually behold?" And so it's said that the Lord, in this case, Lord Shiva, he manifested in the form of Arunachala. Um, and Arunachala is such a potent energy that so many sages have been enlightened here, like Ramana Maharshi, who is the most well known probably. And so every year they actually light a huge flame on the top of the mountain. So there's a family that for generations has been traditionally carrying up with the local people this massive ghee, like a vase full of ghee, which is made of milk, all the way up to the top of the hill. And then they light a massive fire on the hill to represent that light of consciousness. So millions of people come at this time of year to walk around Arunachala, seeking their prayers and blessings. And so the internet is not the best because there's millions of people circling around the mountain right now. Yeah, so I'm just feeling the beauty of kind of being in a land where the divine and the sacred is consecrated and everybody comes together to light the light of consciousness. And yeah, just the beauty of that moment at 6 p.m. in the evening when the flame is lit. There's like a gasp that runs through the whole atmosphere in the city because everybody's light feels lit with that flame being lit. And there's always this incredible moment of, when we see the light come on. So, yeah, it almost looks like a volcano glowing in the middle of the night. So that's the context in which we're meeting. So there's a powerful energy behind me with the mountain. And yeah, can't be a more auspicious time for sharing. So thank you for having me.
Gosh, I don't know about the rest, but I feel when you share that, I feel the potency of the energy of the location where you are sitting in this moment. And just before we continue our conversation, I just want to invite in a moment of silence to really collectively connect with Arunachala, with the mountain that's none other than Shiva, and with just the energy and the activity that's there in this moment. So let's do that together for a minute, and I'll invite the sound of the bell to close our moment of silence.
Mm.
So I remember receiving the Earth Treasure Vase for India in Italy over 2 years ago because you requested the vase, and I was handing it over to a friend of yours who would bring it to you from Italy to Oroville in India, right? What was your first impulse to request an Earth Treasure Vase for South India at that time?
Hmm. Yeah, so at the time that the request came, I was living in Oroville, near Pondicherry in the south of India. And Oroville is probably the longest lasting, largest project of its kind. It's like an intentional community, a spiritual community, where people from all over the world gather. And there are about, say, 5,000 residents now, or maybe between 3 to 5,000 from all over the world, more than 60 countries at least. And it's basically been a project in human unity, a project to create heaven on earth, a project to manifest a more divine reality on earth. So the idea being of Auroville that the next step in spiritual evolution is collective liberation. Um, Communities coming together to pursue a divine work, a spiritual higher purpose, and devoting themselves to creating basically the reality on earth, which can make human evolution better, easier, faster. A kind of laboratory for human consciousness, you could say. So at that time, I was living in Oroville and I was in a forest. I remember sitting amongst the trees and a seed fell in my hand. And I got this impulse that this seed wants to be planted in the land because the place felt like it was suffering. Mm. Because Oroville is going through a lot of changes after 50 years of doing this work and moving slowly towards this project at the pace of human evolution, which is very slow often. Um, a lot of changes in the last few years have been happening. I don't know how much I can speak about it on record. Um, but there have been a lot of shifts politically um, to develop the place more quickly. Um, so the cutting down of forests and things to kind of build the city, build a city. And it has disrupted a lot of what was and created a lot of conflict within the community. And a lot of people are leaving or having to leave or being asked to leave. So there's a lot of politics that has come into this space after like 50 years of being in a sweet bubble. Um, and so at that time that it came to me, it felt like Oroville needed a vase to restore the peace and the harmony in that land. So that was the context in which it landed up for me. And I had a deep commitment and love for Oroville and had devoted my life to it. But things changed shortly after the vase came, so maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah, because I'm very aware when you're sharing kind of the initial impulse and the initial focus of the treasure vase. I think it's still part of the focus of the treasure vase, but it has kind of expanded.
Yeah.
Can you speak to some of that expansion of what you are witnessing to be the purpose, to be what the your treasure vase is kind of trying to tend to from your perspective?
Yeah. Hmm. Pretty much as soon as the vase landed up in my lap on December 31st, 2023, so right entering 2024, something in me shifted. And in the span of a few weeks, actually, almost Um, my attachment to Orwell personally actually fell away suddenly, which was a shock to me because I had such a deep love for the Divine Mother's project and Orwell. Mm. And what woke up in me instead, or in place at that time, was a deep thirst to know what is the highest potential of a human life. I suddenly became really thirsty to know the depths of Indian spirituality, to actually discover what this land is. And so it stretched beyond Auroville into like the land of the whole country, actually, became the canvas for the burial of the Ved rather than just Auroville. And what the Ved seemed to be inviting me into was a year or more of pilgrimages to recover the hidden gems of Indian spiritual wisdom, which are all over the country. And it was a direct mirror to my own process of decolonizing myself. Um, so perhaps coincidentally, right before the wave actually reached me, I had done a decolonization workshop, been part of that. And in that, I had realized how much my mind growing up in a big city like Mumbai, having a very Western education in a colonial school, a colonial remnant, excellent school, fantastic education, but very westward leaning in some senses. And not only that, also the fact that I had grown up seeing so much ritualism, uh, Brahmanical ritualism, and caste system in India, the division in the social classes. So I had actually grown up rejecting Indian culture and spirituality subconsciously, looking to the West for all answers, which is pretty common amongst a lot of the educated Indians now. Mm. So what I was being invited into through the ways was to recover uh, what uh, what this land has always actually deeply represented underneath all the layers of colonization or superstition, ritual, casteism, like all the things that have blocked the true essence of what this land has really held as energy and potency and spiritual wisdom. Like I felt I was being invited into a pilgrimage to go to these authentic places and authentic spiritual masters and recover kind of the gems of like true, untouched, pure spiritual wisdom. For myself, first of all, because I needed to take that journey. And also, it seemed like for the land. So within a few months, I had to move from Auroville to Tiruvannamalai um, and begin that journey. And Arunachala has been my anchor since then. Yeah.
Beautiful. It's just such what you're sharing is such a reflection how our own personal stewardship journey is reflecting the collective or the wider purpose of the vase. It impacts us in that specific way, like the medicine enters our life. And through that, we start to see what the bigger purpose actually is of the vase that it's trying to enact on a wider scale. A similar process that you've been through, but collectively. I remember when we were speaking maybe 10 days ago or so that we were touching the importance of the continuation of the light that India holds, the spiritual legacies that India holds, the transmission that's there. That is not only important for the Indian land or for the Asian continent, but that it holds much more significance. Could you share a little bit about
Mm.
what you're seeing there?
Mm. Yeah. As I kind of have been on this journey, what I have uh, been reclaiming is that actually India historically was always about the spiritual journey. That's what the masters have been teaching for thousands and thousands of years. And um, it's almost like the codes to remember why we came on Earth are everywhere. And I remember my process as somebody who was more educated in a more Western education model. My process back to spirituality was so arduous and long, and I felt like I had to struggle so hard to even remember that this was a valid process because the scientific paradigm had trained me so much to believe that only that which is measurable is real, that only the rational scientific method is like valid. And this was actually like what I learned growing up, and this is what I went into. And to unlearn that and to begin to value the intangible, the energies, the way in which the land speaks, the way in which uh, the land is not just, it's really a living energy system. And the fact that the inner inquiry is as measurable and real as the outer inquiry of science, which is measurable in other ways. And the fact that sages and masters for thousands of years have been doing that immeasurable, seemingly immeasurable inner inquiry. That's their own scientific research into the inner world, right? Somehow, what I felt reconnected with was just the incredible amazement of that. Like, wow, this country is just teeming with energy centers and portals and activation points. And I mean, I'm using very Western terms here, but there are temples and pilgrimage sites all over the country, in every nook and cranny. Um, yeah, which and each one has this their own unique energy essence, you could say. You could go to temples for the five elements and and feel your inner energy system of the elements being purified, the earth, the water, the fire in your own body being healed as you go to these temples. You can go to the temple of the nine planets and the Navagrahas. And, as I was studying Vedic astrology, I was being guided into these places and connect with the energy of the sun, the Jupiter, like which are all actually just metaphors for aspects of our own being, which want to be reintegrated. You can go to the Jyotirlingas, which are places that anchor which are said to be self-manifestations of Lord Shiva. And so very strong energy of like pure consciousness, silence. And then you can go to the Shakti Peeths, which are like these places around the country. Some of them have like shooting fire bursting out from the rocks. Thousands of years of just fire bursting out from the rocks. This pure primordial feminine life force energy, which cannot be obliterated. Um, and feel the power and the incredible energy of the divine feminine, right? And of course, I can go on and on, like the worship of the holy rivers, Ganga, Gangama. And it's just like the whole land and its vibrancy and aliveness was restored to me. And I was actually, as I was taking off my white mask, so to say, of my conditioning, mm, I don't think my words can capture like what is really the depth and hidden wisdom that it really can't be described in words. It can only be felt in energy. And so, what I think India represents right now is a big light in the world, anchoring points of light points of energy, guidelines back to God, which have been forgotten in our industrial age, and somehow holding on to that ancient memory through living ritual, living practice. All of these things which I had once scoffed and seen as ritualism and superstition or mindless ceremony. Now I can see, oh, wow, I mean, there is a lot of that as well when it's done mindlessly. It becomes ritualism. But such a depth um, when truly met with intention. Mm. Yeah.
I think your words are transmissive of the energy. Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that forth. It just makes me think once again. I have those lines of thought regularly here in the Sacred Valley in Peru as well, where I see when a culture keeps their spirituality alive, where the spirituality is in relationship with the environment, where the mountains are being honored, like those millions of people that are circumambulating the sacred mountain Arunachala tonight and every full moon, right? It keeps those energies alive, and it keeps the vitality of the earth of those places alive and vibrant, and there's this relationality between humans and place.
Yeah.
And I feel India holds a very strong awareness and consciousness and wisdom and knowledge around that in many different arenas and layers of it that that needs to be protected and needs to continue.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
I'm curious what's alive for the vase in this moment. Do you have a sense of where it is in its stage towards burial, where it is in its stage towards finding a location? What's happening there?
Mm. Yeah, so since she came to me, the vase, I had a clear indication that the vase wanted to travel to the four corners of the country, um, the north, the west, the east, the south. And in the last 2 years, basically in the last months, that journey has kind of completed. Um, and the vase is actually super full, almost till the very rim now, because every temple or sacred site I go to, I kind of pick up flowers or ashes or vermilion. So yeah, she seems to be really full with energy, ready to go, but I'm still not super sure where and when, because the intention began with Oroville, but since then I have been moved to Tiruvannamalai, and Rick, you and I have spoken about how um, maybe I can show if it opens a line that runs between this mountain of Shiva here and Mount Kailash in the north of the country. And you and I have spoken about how that line kind of, if we extend it down, would actually reach a sacred mountain in Peru, isn't it?
It
Machu
would
Picchu.
it, it would reach Machu Picchu. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there is a sacred line running between Mount Kailash, which is said to be the home of Lord Shiva, and Tiruvannamalai's Arunachala, which is said to be Lord Shiva himself. And then if you extend that line further south across the entire world, you basically get, it reaches all the way to the sacred mountains in Machu Picchu.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of grid and geometry, it seems to also fit why the waves wanted to come here and push me here. Um, but I'm still waiting and listening. Uh, because like you said, Rick, there are some vases which are meant to be planted in places of conflict where healing is needed, right? And then there are some vases which are meant to be planted near sacred sites and sacred mountains so that they can replenish the grid.
Yep.
So I wonder if that's actually what the Vase's intention now is, that she's still close enough to Auroville, just 2 hours from Auroville. So maybe by being planted here, her energy still supports Auroville. But maybe Arunachala is really the center in South India of that consciousness, which the grid also wants to be supported by. So that's where I am at right now with it. Yeah.
And that wouldn't be an easy task, right? Because Arunachala is so sacred that it's not easy to find a way to bury it. So just in terms of our meditation today, I think it's helpful to really focus our collective energy on, first of all, kind of really getting clarity of the destination of the vase
Mm.
and to open up the pathway to clear
Mhm.
any obstacles that may be there
Mm.
and to
Let me maybe
mhm.
just show a little map of what I'm
Please,
talking about. Can you see
please.
it?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically, this is where Tiruvannamalai and Arunachala are. You can see my arrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you extend the line all the way up, it goes somewhere here to Mount Kailash.
Yeah.
And if you bring that line down, it goes all the way to Machu Picchu,
Yeah.
apparently. So there is a sacred grid line that seems to be along this axis. Auroville is more on the coast over here, but close enough. And the pilgrimages basically that I was asked to take were south, west of the country, north of the country, and the east of the country, and then
Mm-hmm.
back. So there are energies from the whole country which are offered to the vase. And my feeling is it wants to be buried here in this point, but I'm not super sure yet. Mhm.
Uh-huh. Gosh. Beautiful. I'm feeling it. Um, yeah. Therese, before we go into meditation, I just want to check in with you whether there's anything else you would like to reflect or bring forward or ask before we start to center our attention.
I just enjoyed this conversation so much, and I think you've given us a really, um, what's the word? Help, like I feel as we go into the meditation, the energy that you've brought in, the light, the sacred places on the earth, the intentions, to me feel just so bright and 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 energizing in itself. It's been really um, yeah, just wonderful to receive what you've already shared. I guess it feels like healing, it feels connective, it feels refreshing, it feels like a beautiful remembering of what we're here on earth doing together and in relationship with the earth and with everything that's sacred, that this whole life is sacred. And thank you for the reminder of that. So, no questions have arisen from me, but just great thanks for what you've brought in and an intention that we bring it all through into the meditation, along with, yeah, calling in some clarity for you about where that vase might go to its eventual resting place. And thank you so much for the pilgrimage that you've taken with the vase. I reckon I both know how that is to go on a big pilgrimage with a vase. They come into your life and off you go. The spirit beings of their own. They're great teachers, these little vessels. And thank you for saying yes and taking that big journey.
Beautiful. Niharika, is there any prayer you want to invite in to for us to focus on in the
Hmm.
meditation?
Hmm. Yeah, what is coming right now, and since this morning, was that um, there has been much conflict in the country to restore this spiritual way, you could say. And it is showing up as a form of righteous retaliation, right? Against the colonizers, against the invaders. And so Indian spirituality and wisdom was always about human unity, about people of all faiths coming together. A lot of the recent masters who have come have had that teaching that it doesn't matter what religion, what faith you are, we are all spirit, we are all Brahman, we are all consciousness. And they have always had a unifying message. But somehow in this process of reclaiming the wisdom of this land, which was genuinely also often buried over by these forces, there has been some division, righteous retaliation, which is all actually part of the process of decolonizing ourselves and coming back to who we are. But so what I'm feeling is the ways needs perhaps prayers of peace, human unity. Like, can we restore this ancient wisdom and spiritual knowledge without division and chaos in that name, without conflict in that name? Um, yes, we have had histories of losing this knowledge, and it's important to reclaim it. At the same time, um, can we can we do so with compassion and a spirit of unity and forgiveness and um, honoring now all all faiths, all people who are here living in this country. Um, and yeah, somehow that is coming right now, that prayers for peace and healing and restoration of the spiritual wisdom of this land, while also honoring um, yeah, honoring all religions, all races, all faiths that are equally a part of this land now. And um, maybe that's where the connection with Oroville also goes, it goes back to that because it has had to face some of that righteous retaliation uh, against the, yeah, some of the people who have come from other traditions to Oroville having to face that, almost like they're having to bear the brunt of histories of colonization. But that's not the way in the end, right? Um, oneness, that's the true message of Indian spirituality. Oneness and peace. That's what the Brahman represents. So maybe prayers for that oneness, peace, unity, harmony.
Beautiful.
Um,
Thank you. Yeah. Let's do, since we're all here on this powerful full moon, gathering around Arunachala with those millions of people, may we include them in our prayer. So we multiply and multiply and multiply in countless ways our collective energy here, dedicated to those prayers that you just spoke to. Thank you. Okay, I'll invite 3 sounds of the bell for us to transition into meditation. Feel free to switch your video off if that's more comfortable for you. Meditation will be about 30 minutes, and after that we come back to express our prayers, to express any insights or any reflections that want to be shared. We'll have time for that after the meditation. Yeah, just make yourself comfortable. Make yourself comfortable. The 3 sounds of the bell. to enter in.
And so let's begin by taking a few deep breaths together, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing deeply and slowly, inviting the feeling of your body relaxing. Sense the ground beneath you, holding you, offering stability and calm. Feel your roots reaching deep down into the earth. And breathing in, drawing up through your taproot the nourishing energies and life force of the Mother Earth, which she gives freely and generously to you. And let go of thoughts of the past, concerns for the future, letting them melt away. In this precious moment of deep communion with the stabilizing and nourishing energies of Mother Earth. And from this place of being deeply rooted and grounded, we open up to the light from above, feeling the warmth upon us from the sun and the moon, the full moon and the stars glistening, feeling expansive as we connect to the vast energies of the cosmos. Rooted below, connected above, in this present moment, together, breathing.
And now let's feel our connectedness to this special place that you are inhabiting. You sit on the planet right now. Feel your relationship to the soils, the stones, the waterways, the forests, flowers, the communities of life. We'll call these habitats their home, just like you. And who also receive stability and nourishment from Mother Earth and the warmth of the sun, the light of the moon, just like you. And in this present moment, in this special place, we acknowledge those who have come before, the ancestors of the original indigenous peoples of the lands that we inhabit, who have been in sacred relationship with our lands for countless generations. We acknowledge the future ancestors of this land who will continue to hold this land as sacred for countless generations to come. And we humbly invite all of them to bless us and our practice. Let's also call upon all of our sources of inspiration, our own ancestors, elders, teachers, guides, lineage masters, Buddhas, bodhisattvas, and wisdom beings that we feel connected to. We invite them all to be present with us here now in this circle. And we invite their blessing to enter you and everyone who's present for this meditation, now or through the recording. And we receive the blessing of their love, support, guidance, healing, and clarity. Therese, you're muted.
Thank you. And so as this blessing enters you, feel the love and the caring coming all the way into your deepest heart of heart, and breathe it in. And send this love to everyone who's present in the circle. Breathing in, receive the love that's being sent, and breathing out, sending. Breathing in, receiving, just like the ebb and the flow of the tides, washing blessings amongst us in this circle. And then gradually expand your focus to include all of your friends, family, and community, and all of those around the world who this practice may serve. Imagine our circle gradually growing from our home, our neighborhood, our community, the region in which we live, the country, the whole continent that we live on, and eventually expanding to include all beings in all places, everywhere, embracing the whole planet with our love, breathing in and breathing out with Gaia. And now with this feeling of rootedness below and expansiveness above and waves of love flowing from your heart, let's turn our awareness to those who are suffering, to the places on the earth where there is war, poverty, disease, pollution, unrest, droughts or floods or fires, wherever the need for healing is very great. And breathe in the suffering of the earth. And on the out breath, sending your love and caring to relieve the suffering of the earth, her people, and all of life, all around the whole planet.
And imagine that where there's hunger, great nourishing gardens begin to grow. Where there's thirst, fresh, clean waterways spring up. Where there are unhoused, safe shelters are built. Where there's war and conflict, choirs of peace echo in the hills. Where there is sickness, vital health is celebrated. And aware of where the earth is unstable, in danger or out of balance in any way, imagine a restoration of balanced power, bringing protection and regeneration, as we hear the land sing out in harmony. Now see the generosity and reciprocity in communities of life flowing freely, seeing the beauty and riches of nature flowering into abundance for the sustenance of life, revitalizing this radiant blue-green planet we call home. As we hold this glowing vision of Mother Earth, we call into our awareness the presence of the Earth Treasure Vases that have been planted or are in the process of being planted all around the world. Let us imagine that together we pour our love and caring in the form of light into each and every little clay vessel buried in the body of Mother Earth. And we fill each vase with our deepest prayers and blessings for healing.
Imagine each Earth Treasure Vase radiating light in every direction, sending healing and protective energies wherever it's needed, in whatever form it's needed. See the light like a rainbow streaming forth from each of the vases, white, yellow, red, blue, green, and all the colours in between. And breathing in and breathing out. Allow the feeling of caring and compassion in your heart of hearts to grow and send that love out in the form of light to all of the people, animals, plants, and places that are connected to the Earth Treasure Vases that need healing and protection in the past, in the present, and in the future. Beginning at the center of the Earth Treasure Vase Global Healing Mandala in a cave above Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, the birthplace of the atomic bomb. And to the north at the source of the Rio Grande River in Creede, Colorado. To the south at the mouth of the Rio Grande in the Gulf of Mexico. To the east on top of Mount Baldy, above Santa Fe. And to the mountain Sycamore in the world of the Tewa people of New Mexico, the custodians of the lands where this mandala began. And so now, having established the center and the four directions, see the mandala growing in every direction. To the Indian Point Nuclear Reservation on the Hudson River in New York, to the Headwaters Old Growth Redwood Forest in Northern California, to the Punta Cometa on the coast of Oaxaca, Mexico, Vilcabamba, Ecuador, Jakova, Kosovo, the Lawrence Laboratory at the University of California in Berkeley, the Daldam Forest on the border of Thailand and Myanmar, to the village of Ain Karem in Israel, Palestine, Hiroshima, Japan, Inwood Park above New York City after 9/11, the Biosphere 2 in Oracle, Arizona, the Martin Luther King Freedom Center in Oakland, California, the source of the Ganga Ma in India, the Ganges, the source of the Amazon in Peru, the Southern Pacific Ocean 93 feet down in the Egum Atoll in the Trobriand Islands of Papua New Guinea, the Arctic Circle, Alaska, the Kogi Lands in the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, Colombia, Telewoyon Village in Lofa County in the Boinjama district of Liberia, West Africa, the Blyder River Canyon in Limpopo province of South Africa, the Giza Plateau in Egypt, Haleakala, Maui, Hawaii, the Ntombwe Forest, South Kivu Province, Democratic Republic of Congo, Avebury in England, and Bindaluk in Jawan country near Katherine in the Northern Territory of Australia.
To Gobernmon, Arnhem Land, Australia. The Mackenzie King Park, Ottawa River Valley, Ottawa-Gatineau, Canada. The original garden in Findhorn, Scotland. The Great Stupa of Bodhanath in Kathmandu, Nepal. The Flint Hills of Kansas in the heartland of North America. The Santa Cruz Mountains near Silicon Valley, California. The Valles Caldera of northern New Mexico. Honolulu, Bungles, the Kimberleys, Australia. The village of Utjavik at the edge of the sea in northernmost Arctic Alaska. The Hanford Nuclear Reservation on the shores of the Columbia River in the state of Washington. Mount Ryosen above Fukushima, Japan. Back to where it all began at the cave hermitage of Charak in Nepal. To Margibi County, Liberia. in the base of an old ironbark tree on Ditchwell Mountain in the Budawang wilderness of Walbunja Country, Juan Nation, southeastern Australia. Our root temple, Tolu Tarling Monastery in Nepal, the Munzur Valley in Turkey, Serpent Mound in Ohio, the Ashaninka spiritual portal, Campa do Rio Amonea indigenous land, acre, Brazilian Amazon, bordering Peru. The Border Peace School, Cherwon, the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. In Nabusimake, our Waka territory in Colombia. In Akaroa, Te Waiponamu, South Island, Aotearoa, New Zealand. On Mount Parnassus above Delphi in Greece. Pian Grande di Castelluccio of the Sibillini Mountains, Umbria, Italy. In Weyawichan, facing the Windcates Park, North Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. In a sylvan wood near a creek that flows into the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. In eastern Tibet, next to a high-altitude turquoise lake. Fontem Felicem, Happy Well, flowing by a creek adjacent to a chapel in the village of Heltzem, Islek, Luxembourg. And in the woods embracing Auschwitz-Birkenau, Poland.
To the vase in Antarctica, to the Isle of Lewis in the Outer Hebrides, Scotland, to the Saugatuck Dunes on Lake Michigan in the United States of America, and to the Highwood Valley and the Rocky Mountains in Alberta, Canada, to southeastern US Turtle Island, Shakonahay, Tennessee, to a vase called Corona Ma, planted on the shores of Lake Washington in Kirkland, Washington, near the Life Care Center where COVID began in the United States. In the Permian Basin, New Mexico, along Sweetwater Creek at the base of Marble Mountain in Danby, Vermont, to the vase called Cetacea in Provincetown, Cape Cod, Massachusetts, honoring the wisdom and persistence of our whale relatives, to the vase dedicated to the return of the salmon, buried on the north coast of the Olympic Peninsula in Washington State, to the vase in Minangbuja, near Albany in southwestern Australia, and to the vase placed in Plum Village. Let's also include in our awareness all of the vases that are being stewarded at the moment. The vase for the Bering Strait, Chile, the Altai Mountains in Russia, the vase dedicated to healing racism in the United States of America, Bamiyan, Afghanistan, Palestine, Spain, Taos, northern New Mexico, the Little Shell Tribal Territory in Montana, Triple Divide Peak on Turtle Island, a vase dedicated to Kairos time, to the Paramo ecosystem of Colombia for the restoration of the waters of the world, the Big Sur region, to the Andes Mountains, to Ukraine, to Hungary, and to the vase dedicated to India, to South India, sending a lot of the energies of oneness, peace, unity, and harmony.
Once again, please take a deep, slow in-breath. And a deep, slow out-breath. And imagine that all that is needed to relieve the suffering of the earth can be seen as light radiating out from each of the Earth Treasure Vases all around the whole planet in every direction. Imagine this healing light flowing out from the vases filling the whole global Earth Treasure Vase mandala with the powerful energies of our love and caring. And see how this healing force travels through the song lines and meridians of the earth, flowing into each location on the global mandala. And see the mandala like a web of light, embracing, lighting up the whole planet. Feel the light flowing back and forth like waves from your heart to the Earth Treasure Vases, back and forth. And in that way, we are energizing the vases. We are adding vitality and brilliance to the light that is then flowing out to the whole area and the sphere of influence of each of those sacred vessels. Just in this moment as well, connect specifically to the beacon of light that is Arunachala, the sacred mountain that is Shiva, where millions of people right in this moment are circumambulating while a fire is lit on that sacred mountain. And just feel us joining the circumambulation while we start to focus our energy now one-pointedly on bringing healing and protection, peace, harmony and justice to our whole planet. Past, present, future, for all time. See the healing and protection radiating out from all the vases in waves of light flowing back and forward endlessly. And feel as well the light flowing into your own location, your special spot in nature. Nourishing your own local community, your own local place. And the collective spiritual intelligence of the entire global Earth Treasure Vase mandala activates your node and enters you as a holy vessel. And now imagine one-pointedly with all our concentration, all our love, that the healing is accomplished and the vitality of the earth is completely restored.
beautiful flow of life, recognizing the great interconnected web that is life on Earth, of which we each are a part. Let's give thanks for this precious sacred time together and pray that the compassion and peace that is our true condition may bring supreme happiness and benefit to the earth and to all beings. And with another deep and slow in-breath together, breathing in, and a deep and slow out-breath. Let's slowly and gradually bring our awareness back to our body, back to feeling your feet on the floor, back to feeling grounded on the earth in your own location. And as you feel ready, gradually wiggling your toes and your fingers, maybe stretching and moving your body. And whenever you're ready, opening your eyes and come back to return to the circle for sharing and offerings. We'll finish off with the sound of the bell and then come back together with our screens whenever you're ready.
Welcome back. Thank you, Therese, for guiding the meditation together. Julian, thank you for your exquisite, heart-rendering music. Such a blessing. Thank you. So here we are at the other side of the meditation with space to offer your prayers to the Earth Treasure Vase or any reflections that have come up during this time together. We are still kind of experimenting with a little bit of a new flow, new format, and as well length of the call. So initially this call was planned for 90 minutes, which means we have 5 minutes left. I think that's a little short. So if you do need to leave in about 5 minutes, that's of course fine. But I'd like to extend the space for 15 minutes after half past hour. So we have another 20 minutes is my suggestion to share, to receive prayers, to receive reflections, hoping that that works as well for Niharika. Yeah, sweet. Okay. Yeah, so the space is open. Therese, I invite you to just together with me invite people if we see the hands kind of raising that we call the people in. So if you would like to share something, you can raise your digital hand. And there is a button for that literally says raise hand in the lower menu. And if that's difficult, you can raise as well in this way, and then one of us will see you for sure. And Niharika, I will spotlight you together with the person who's speaking so that you can really receive with the vase what's being shared. All right, the space is open. Julie.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for everything you shared. I felt so completely aligned with you and also very much the land. And I just wanted to offer, briefly from the moment you talked about the fire of the ghee. Oh, I could smell that very pungent, beautiful, sweet, warm. And so I wanted to add into the vase, just I have practiced Agnihotra and just adding in that purification and the combination of the cow dung and the rice and the ghee and the copper and the just the beautiful purification for the entire the entire country and everyone who is residing there and all of us who are sending our hearts there.
Thank you.
Mm.
Cynthia, please.
Hi, everybody. It's so wonderful to be here tonight and just on the receiving end of what you, Rick, and Therese have laid out for us and for what you, Niharika, have carried through this little holy vessel in your heart, how it's awakened you, how it has traveled to the four corners of the incredible country of Mother India, to all of those elemental places that you named. There's so many temples in India, so many places you could go. To hear that you have gone to those places, the planets, the elements, the rivers, the mountains, it just moves me so deeply. And then to hear how our Anantshala is Shiva and is this place now where the light, the flame, is lit. Somehow, this feels such a key to the whole global mandala at this time. That we should be so lucky as to have you carrying this humble little clay pot around, feeling your way, not even really knowing what you're doing, as we all do when we carry these little pots. Finding your way through the conditioning of the cultures that have come before and into this place of freedom from the colonizer mind that has conditioned you and so much of the world, as well as so much of India in its very particular ways. For the liberation of the light to return, to be integrated, to carry our prayers and the spirit of awakening, which is what we are calling in every month, if not every day, as we cultivate this practice, the spirit of awakening. And when we visualize the web of light, the prayers going out from the treasure vases around the planet into the regions where they're planted, coming alive with our love, with our care, with our commitment, somehow having a location dedicated to the light feels so helpful. It moves me deeply. And I know that this place where you are will feed the mandala, will, in feeding the mandala, it will strengthen the prayers that we hold for the healing and the restoration of the whole earth in all the ways that are called for, in all the overcoming of horrors that we're facing, that we need that light. And just, the most deepest honor and respect for Mother India for carrying that light for so long through thick and thin. For the benefit of this awakening into something so much larger than ourselves. That is so needed in the world today. So I shower flowers. I pour milk and honey. I imagine the energies just multiplying from there. And I give thanks to you for bringing this spirit to us and to the whole global mandala, and for your process of working through your own, personal dimension to what all of this is, which is inseparable. I mean, it's all one, and we're praying for oneness and for unity and for all those colors to be expressed. Yes. And something about the sound of the sitar tonight, Julian, carrying us into this awareness, into this experience, resonating the prayers in India in a way that only that instrument could do, is another layer of the global mandala coming alive through light and through sound and through the love and the care and the devotion that is in our hearts, those of us who care, who are holding this this vision and this practice. So may that light go out from southern India all around the planet and feed each and every Earth Treasure Vase location and all beings, that we may truly find healing, restoration, balance, harmony, peace, unity, love, caring, restoration. Did I say that? Yes, restoration. Alala. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Cynthia. So good to have you here, and acknowledging the beautiful waters that are being stirred, the inner wells that are being stirred, and so good to offer these tears, our sacred water offerings, into the vase as well. It's one of the beautiful ways that the earth can hear our prayers, creating Yeah, welcome, Stephen.
Namaste, Niharika. I really don't know what to say after that. There's almost nothing I can say to add what Cynthia has so beautifully expressed. But I really personally want to honor you for the journey that you're taking with this vase and for letting it guide you and for all the incredible places that you've taken the vase to in order to help you to understand exactly where it needs to go and what it means to you in your life. So what I'd like to do is to, since we're speaking about light, to sing the Gayatri into the vase for you so that it can carry the light. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Om Om.
Thank you, Stephen. And welcome, Wendy.
Thank you. Yes, there is very little left to say. It's all been so beautiful. But Niharika, those tears that fall into the vase are crystalline, and they will become crystals in that, and they will carry the light and the light that you are. And we really believe and we know we become stewards of these vases because they found us and they found you. And you were the chosen one for that vase. And it is so clear tonight, as clear as the light and the full moon that we're under, that this is such a blessing that you have received, the vase is received, and thus we have all received. And I thank you, and we thank you from the deepest of our hearts, you of the light, of the crystalline nature, as you walk this path with this vase. It's a jewel, and your tears are the jewels that have gone into that, and that is the jewel of the lotus. So walk on and shine bright as you already are. And thank you so very much for doing this for all of us and for the mandala and for Pachamama, all the way down to Peru. Blessings. Aho.
Karuna, please.
Beloved, beloved, beloved sister, look at you now. I know you, you divine, feminine, beautiful, Satnam being. You're just incredibly brave to break that veil and to purge. And I just felt in the meditation the anointment, the anointing of your vase. I felt this pores seeping through and giving you like this balm of joy throughout your discovery of light, as our Cynthia spoke of. It's light. It's just calling this light and just follow this light. And you've worked so many lifetimes, and it's so beautiful and acknowledging, and your brilliance, your intelligence, your wisdom was needed to go west a little bit. You gotta, you gotta, but you embody it like the Dalai Lama. Your sadhana is coming through, and every word you say is sadhana, and it's so beautiful. So I want to add the divine feminine mantra to your vase because she's fierce and she makes us work very hard to find the place. But she just gives us so much time. So let's add that for you and for your vase and for those around and all of us here. Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Namo Namo. Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Namo Namo. Pradittam Bhagavati, Pradittam Bhagavati, Pradittam Bhagavati, Namo Namo. Kundalini Mata Shakti, Mata Shakti, Namo Namo, Namo Namo, Namo Namo, Namo Namo. I bow, I bow, I bow, I bow. I dip in the Ganga with you, and let us be one. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Aung Sang Wahe Guru, Aung Sang Wahe Guru, Aung Sang Wahe Guru. May every thread of my being be engaged. Wahe Guru, thank you so much, dear sister. Thank you.
Mimi writes in the chat. She's in the Sacred Valley in Peru, so it's about 11 p.m. here. So she writes, I'm going to do my sharing here because I can't make noise where I am at this time. Thank you for this beautiful sharing, Niharika, for your being, for your blessing. The blessing of this vase carrying all the codes of ancestral wisdom. Blessings. So I invite the sound of the bell to close this period of sharing, and I invite those who haven't shared yet but do carry a prayer to just, with your intention, focus that prayer in the sound of the bell, and the sound of the bell goes into the days.
Can you hold the vase up for us, Niharika?
Okay. Listen, listen. May this wonderful sound of the bell bring all our prayers and all our blessings as nectar in this sacred vessel dedicated to Mother India. the end of our time together.
Just these tears that were coming just felt like tears of longing to remember something that is just just behind the veil, just and I felt each of you really, really being a listener to that light as you offered your blessing. And yeah, it feels like this wave is just here to anchor something that I can't even articulate. It's beyond my mind's ability to remember what this is for. But the tears probably felt it more than my words could articulate. Thank you so much.
There's a deep silence here and an immense gratitude for this time together, for this moment together, for you stepping in 2 years ago, for everything that you've carried so far and everything you will carry in the next weeks, the next months, all the way until burial. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing right in this moment. Thank you for sharing your heart with us. Yeah. And thank you everybody for being present today, for showering Niharika with our collective energy, with our love, with our protection, with our guidance, with anything that she and the vase may need in this period, which feels to be the final period of the vase above ground, gently moving into its descent. It's an honor to hold space for you in this way, in this moment. Thank you. Therese, would you like to dedicate our session officially?
Thank you. Okay, as we go on our way, we pray, we dedicate that for as long as the earth remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may these earth treasure vases too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Through the merits of this practice, may all beings realize their inseparability with Gaia and all life upon her, living in peace and harmony and oneness. May there be no more war or conflict, and may all hearts be filled with compassion. Alalaho. Aho.
Alright, dear friends, thank you so much. Therese, thank you for hosting with me from New Zealand. Julian, thank you once again for the beautiful music coming from Australia. Niharika, thank you for being here from India. We cross many continents in this way, and that's such a joy of being a global community. Thank you all for being here. Until next time, blessings.